What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to help give you the edge for this MMA and UFC fight slate for DraftKings, and cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future MMA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GBP, head over to www.patreon.com/DGFantasy for more information. On Patreon, we give advanced cheat sheets for all DFS sports on DraftKings. These cheat sheets include updated projections, ownership, and our overall favorite plays from slate to slate. We take it a step further by teaching you how to play fantasy sports like a shark, by showing you where the best leverage spots are to put you in the best spots to take down tourneys. Also included is our private Discord chat where you get to talk over the slate with everyone, including our coaches, to help build your lineups. Now let's go ahead and dive right into this MMA 13 fight slate here with Kevin, as always, our MMA guru. Kevin, you ready to break this thing down?
Hell yes, Matthew.
All right.
Yes.
Let's go over last weekend and go over the success.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, last weekend, Matt, was UFC 262. I feel like MMA has been a little stagnant for us lately, but we got back on track in a big way on Saturday with 262. We always crush the pay-per-view events, which is awesome. I personally came in 63rd out of 32,000 people in the contest, which was nice. I came out profitable on the night to a good amount. I am just... It's tough. This is an industry where, you know, even when you do really well, you wonder what you could have done better. And I was pissed because my best line had Gina Mazzani in it. Or I shouldn't say my best line, but my one with the most potential, I would say, where if she won, I probably would have been, you know, pretty damn profitable, let's say that. But she lost, and she was the heaviest favorite on the card. So
that's crazy. Minus 216 was the heaviest favorite.
Yeah, I know. And you get every other one right. You know what I mean? You get the hard ones right, and it was like perfect. It was a perfect line, except Gina Mazzani.
And you still took it down, or got close to it?
No, that's what I mean. And I think she scored pretty well and lost, but like that was the one where if she like showed out, I think I had every other.
She did actually score pretty well for being that poor.
Loss. Yeah.
So, real quick, how much salary did you use on your lineup, if you remember? Is it pretty close to
that one?
Yeah,
no clue. That one I have no clue.
Okay.
63 out of 33,000 people, 32,000 people. I'm trying to remember that one too.
I'm just curious because this optimal is going to blow your mind. Well, probably not now, but it would have blown your mind if I would have told you this a week ago.
I made a lot of contrarian lineups in this one too, where I hit all over the board in terms of salary. Why? What was the
48-4?
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me.
1,600 left over, which is crazy.
It doesn't surprise me. I had a lot of lineups with that, Matt. A lot of lineups with that, and I'll tell you why. Because I had both one was a love lister, and I not to jump the gun here, but a love lister of mine was Priscilla, and she was 6,800. or something like that. And then I had Lee as like a green play. I played a crap ton of Lee because that was she was a core play, because remember we talked about her as a plus 125 at 7K or something like that.
That was the biggest lock.
Doesn't make any, and that was huge. What did Lee score?
Lee scored the highest on the card. 115.53
at 7K, and I loaded her. She was a core play. I loaded her in like almost every line.
She ended up being only 32. By the way, you guys only get the updates if you sign up for Patreon. So sign up today. $20 a month gives you access to all that and so much more. 32.2% ownership, which is, I think she was really low. I think she was like around 23. But by the time I come around lock, it was 32.2, which was still under owned in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we absolutely loaded her. So that was great. That was awesome. Just way too undervalued there. But yeah, let's run through the rest of the fights real quick. Giagos was green, started off the card right with a second round sub. Had some of him. I had Lutz for his pace. He scored okay, not so bad, but didn't wow anyone either. How did he do?
93.15. Didn't make the optimal, but right below it.
Yeah, better than I thought. So yeah, had a good amount of Lutz. Like I said, Matt, I'm the punt king for a reason. Priscilla got the KO as the heaviest underdog on the card as a love lister. I did counter her with some Mazzani though, and that did suck. But did Priscilla make the optimal?
Priscilla, I've been looking. Oh, did not make the optimal. 6,900, 91.85. Hold on, wrong column. 87.11.
I was gonna say I didn't think she scored that. Like it's close, but she didn't make the optimal at that.
Did not, unfortunately.
Okay.
The sixth highest scored, and she didn't make the top 6.
Yeah, I knew she wouldn't be top 6, but I just didn't know if the pricing. But again, that's because we didn't have
48.4
expensive people just smoking price
right.
tags. But yeah, that screwed up my line a little bit. But yeah, again with the love list, we just talked about Andrea Lee. Core play won at 7K, so that was huge. Scored great. Jordan Wright was another love lister, Matt, and he got the first round finish. I was all over Jordan Wright. I said he was more complete than Pickett, and I think that was a much better play. He got the first round finish, so we were cooking with absolute gas the whole time. I think he finished too. Like it was one of those ones like it was so close to that quick finish bonus, but he just didn't get it. So that sucked,
Pickett scored 2 points, so there's that.
Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, he got finished pretty early. First road bump we had was for me at least, I had too much Grundy. He got to his takedowns again, and he did get screwed, in my opinion, in a decision. But I don't think it really matters because I don't think he, did too great anyway.
Right.
So I'm not complaining about it. I said Munoz and so Jacare was live, but my goodness, I mean, I said the one thing I didn't think was going to happen because I know Munoz is amazing on the ground, truly elite grappler, but I did say he's not going to be submitting Jacare anytime soon. Boy, was I wrong. Jacare got, subbed. I can't believe it. He got submitted. Jacare got submitted, and that's I think the first time in his. Let me just reiterate that. And I said this before, man. I said this before the. I know last video, and I'll eat some crow here. I said he was the best. Probably had the most decorated and best grappler still fighting right now, if not Damian Maia. And yeah, it was his first in 20 years in basically 40 fights. It was his first time being submitted.
That's crazy.
So, and again, you can't see that coming. I mean, even against someone, like I said, Munoz is amazing in the ground. I know that. Like I said, that is his best game. But
was he that good? Apparently he is.
Well, yeah. Well, Jacare is also I think he's like an 8-time world champion in jiu-jitsu. So it's like, you just didn't see it coming, but it was an amazing submission. Shout out to Munoz. Sorry I slept on him. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, like, I don't want to say, like I said, he was green, but I just didn't think it was going to be by submission. I'll tell you that. And I think he broke his arm. He broke his arm in the process. So it was beautiful. It was a nice.
Oh yeah. I heard the snap. There was they replayed it without the commentators, and I didn't even think that was possible. And you just hear a snap. I'm like, okay, I didn't need to see that or hear that. It's cringy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
you have to
crazy.
look it up. I saw it on TikTok, of course, of all places. I was just scrolling through, and then of course it's never safe on TikTok. You just
never safe.
Hey, here's a arm breaking. Okay, cool. Thanks. Like, 5 seconds.
Here's something absolutely insane. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. Barboza did better than I expected. Did he make the optimal? I don't think so.
He did. He was the last spot to make the optimal at 94.2.
Okay, and I think I had too much Burgos on that one too. Didn't have enough Barboza, but I had some pieces of them just for that knockout potential. Caitlin ended up in a lot of my lines somehow. I think it was just the pricing. She did okay. I figured she'd have good volume. She's one of the ones I hated to pick, but I had to for a lot of positions, and she did okay. What did Caitlin Chikagian score?
Chikagian scored 71.34.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Oh no, sorry, 82.43. Apparently, I can't
still pretty low.
Tell the columns.
Still pretty low, but she was 8,800. It's not the worst thing in the world. She got the win. Ended up touching Bontorin or Schnell. How did Bontorin score, Matt?
Bontorin scored also worse at 71.34. So that was the incorrect one that I read. 71.34.
Okay, so that's pretty bad. Okay, good. So I'm glad I faded that. I know he won as the underdog, so I was like,
that's a very bad score. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Dariush looked great. Had a pretty average pace against Tony. Looked great doing it though. What did he score? Benail Dariush.
Dariush didn't score too bad. 91.85.
That's what I thought. I knew it didn't wow anybody. That wasn't optimal, was it?
No. Nope.
Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, that was a lot of good lines. I had a lot of good lines, Matt. Not a lot of. I had that one that I said was on pace for optimal. I think I just everything else that 63 one that wasn't a perfect line. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just a lot of good lines. Just because I said, people like Dariush ended up there, Caitlin, ended up with a lot of 6-winner lines, 5-winner lines. It was just a good day in the office. But yeah,
so
some of the ones I missed.
Real quick, I want to give my quick recap, just what I've noticed in terms of ownership and mid-range value. Andrea Lee 7K, 32.2% ownership. I believe the benchmark last week was around that 32%. Jordan Wright, 8.1K, another mid-range value, 26.6% ownership. Oliveira, the most obvious one, obviously. Muniz, 23.2, 7.7K, mid-range. 9,100 for Giagos, 31.8%. Again, right below that benchmark. And then last but not least, Barbosa, 16.9% ownership at 7.8. Those mid-range toss-up games continue to make or break the slate, Kevin. So,
and I'll tell you right now,
ownership-wise too.
We talked about it last week. We talked about it. I mean, I said there was maybe the craziest amount of mid-range pricing we've seen in a while. Everything was mid-range, and I told you the pay-up options were disgusting. Like Gina Mazzani as a pay-up option is just not what you want to see at 9,300 or whatever she was. So, a little bit of that effect this card too. But
awesome.
Yeah, let's get into it. Actually, we didn't talk about the main. So yeah, in the main, last fight, Tony,
I know you're rooting for Chandler. I'm sorry.
Tony. Yeah, no, I was rooting for Chandler. I had a lot of Chandler. I countered myself and made sure I had a lot of Oliveira too. So I ended up with probably 60% Chandler. It was an awesome fight. It was very close. Chandler absolutely smoked him in the first round. I mean, when I say smoked him, I mean smoked him with some punches. I don't think he dominated him. I mean, there was a 10-8 in there by a couple judges' scorecards, which is just bananas. I didn't see a 10-8. I mean, Oliveira had his back at a point.
It reminded me a little bit, not to the intensity, but McGregor versus Poirier, where McGregor was dominating early on, and then it just turned on its head, and it was like, what just happened?
Yeah, I think Chandler just got so confident in his hands. He has such dynamite in those hands. I mean, he only touched him like twice good, and both times Oliveira got shook. And so I think he got overconfident. Oliveira's a very technical striker, and came back with a beautiful KO. So
yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to the next card. So yeah, shout out to Oliveira. Took him a long time to get there. Respect that a lot. But moving on, we got Rafael Alves versus Demir. This is Demir. There's a Demir H and a Demir I. So we'll just say we'll break it down that way.
Are you kidding me? Okay,
so, I know, right? Sense. And so it's just to add some confusion. And then there's another fight where there's back-to-back Silvas too. So it's just going to be one of those.
Okay.
So make sure you get the right ones. But
yeah, guys, pay attention real hard here.
Yeah, exactly. Demir I is Magulov. I mean, what a way to start the card with the heaviest favorite we have seen in probably a couple. I don't think we've seen a minus 600 in about a month, Matt. You know what I mean? That's a pretty ridiculous favorite. Alves, on the other hand, good finisher, well-rounded guy, but has a pretty average career heading into his UFC debut. So you got to take the Demir is just another Russian-built savage who was just 19-1, 3-0 in the UFC. Just they're pumping him out. So I got to take him. Pretty simply put, judging by his 3 UFC fights so far too. He's been pretty dominant. But that said, just judging by those fights, he will not clear that price point, Matt. He hasn't come close yet. And on a 13-fight slate, I certainly wouldn't bank on it now at 9,500, especially just off the facts in front of me in eye test, Matt. I got to think
it's a crazy price tag.
It's a crazy price tag. And I'm thinking Demir wins this and doesn't make the optimal. And I'm not looking so much in the direction of Alves either, because like I said, it's a minus 600. I'm not saying Alves can't catch him, but at the end of the day, I think Demir wins this, and I think he doesn't clear that price tag. So I'm gonna red light this fight, Matt.
Interesting, because Demir, in terms of ownership, well, let me actually give you guys a benchmark. If you guys are watching this for the first time, I give the top 6 in terms of ownership, and then anything below that we consider a GPP option, and then we talk about it. That being said, Demir I, 30.9% ownership, which is right below the cusp of 31.1% is going to be our benchmark, Kevin. So he's still decently high owned, and what that tells me, Kevin, is a lot of casual ownership. I believe they just see the price tag, they see the win percentage, they see the odds here, and they're just plugging and playing. So just goes to show you in terms of line of construction where people are going. As a last piece, they don't mind paying up for that $9,500. Decently owned, could be a very sharp fade here right off the rip.
Yeah, and it's also a terrible like pay up option card, I believe. So I think that's like, if you're looking for a safe winner, he probably is the safest pay up option winner. So I do get some of the ownership. I don't hate it, but
also Alves 4.4, so that's insanely low.
That's the lowest I've.
Yeah, other than the 0% that we see here, which is obviously an error.
4.4. I can't think of one lower than that, Matt. Ever.
I don't think we've seen. I think we've seen a 3. Anyway.
I want to say a 3 too. Yeah. But yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, moving on, we have Yancy Madeiros versus Demir H. Demir Hadzovic. Yancey's a weird one, Matt. Fairly long time UFC vet who has done some serious damage in his time. He has real knockout power, but he can be knocked out as well. We've seen it in 2 of his last 3 fights, and in some other memorable instances, like against Dustin Poirier. But he's a finisher. I also think he's a little past his prime. So the real question to me, Matt, is how good is Demir? And just to clarify again, this is Demir H, not Demir I. But Demir H is a 50-50 UFC level fighter as well. So it does make it tough to gauge if he's for sure good enough to see Yancey out the door here.
He is so hit or miss in terms of scoring.
Yeah, I mean it's like I don't know. I think this fight's green. It's solid pricing as we talked about, Matt, that mid-range pricing, but
there we go.
It's got a decent finish chance too, but I don't love it, and it's just kind of a headache fight for me, to be honest. I mean, both have pretty solid hands, but I don't know. You could see a knockout here for sure. I don't know. It's as a winner, it's tough. Like I said, Yancy Madeiros probably on his way out the door. Is Demir the guy to push him out? I don't know.
Well, here you go. You'll love to hear you won't love to hear the ownership, but I'll love to hear the ownership here because, again, huge toss-up fight. It's a headache, which means the ownership's going to be low. Kevin, 23.7% ownership on Yancey, and Demir H, 21.8%. So the ownership's slightly higher on Yancey, which is the underdog. So 8.4K for Demir H, huge leverage potential there. Again, and just looking at the game log, it's all over the place. This is a definition of a headache fight.
Yeah, that is just, I mean, it's one of those ones, sneaky optimal. Could be, I hate it, but it's just the facts.
So if you're playing 150, I would go overexposed to this one.
Yep. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, I hate it. Moving on, we have Josh Culabo versus Elon, who has like a million names.
Okay, great.
A little bit of another headache fight, Matt, but at least this one backs it with a -165 finish chance.
Really?
Culabo, yeah,
okay.
-165. So Culabo was undefeated entering his UFC debut, where he has since been 0-1-1. He got knocked out in one fight and landed 50 total strikes and was 0 for 7 in takedowns in his other fight. So again, Matt, remember when I said the pay up options on this slate suck?
Yeah.
Like that's not the guy I want to pay 9,100 for.
Neither does the public. So
no, and I get it. And the sad thing is, like, he's still very live. And like Shah, on the other hand, is a pretty experienced fighter, 17-6, making his UFC debut. Good finisher, but has shown real weakness on the ground. So I do think I like the finish chance. I think there's potential in this fight. And if you have to pay down for someone, I don't think like Shah is a bad idea. But I mean, Joshua could come out and just knock him out fast too. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a very live fight, Matt.
Yeah, the ownership. Well, I love the fact that you said it's live because the ownership doesn't paint that picture. First of all, Shah is 0%. I'm assuming a name mismatch from what you just said, so that might be the reason for it. It looks like just the import didn't work. So showing 0%, that's obviously incorrect. But Joshua here, Kevin, 14.6% ownership. That seems
really low.
Scary low. Like even more scary than the last fight.
I mean, I totally get that for cash or GPPs.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, this is GPP ownership, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense to me.
I mean, yeah, if he's facing, I think that's too. Like, so you know how like a lot of the Asian fighters have their names are like reversed on draft. Like if you look on DraftKings and you look on the UFC card and you look at like different like I think moving up we have like Zhao and Yan versus or it'll be listed as like Yan, Zhao Nan or whatever, like, and same with thing, like it'll be back and forth, like Wiley Zhang Wiley, you know what I mean? Like it's always, I don't know in Japanese or Chinese culture how it works. Like I know Yalan Shah is how he's listed on SureDog, which is, big MMA website, Matt. And but on DraftKings, he's Shah Yalan, so maybe that's why he's not coming up. He also has a first name that I also saw on his Wikipedia that is Nerdon Beak or something. So
okay, so I want to rant real quick. Why is MMA the only sport where this happens? Like I don't deal with this in basketball. I don't deal with this in NFL. I don't deal with this in MLB. They have names and they stick with their names.
It's because, well, also too, Matt, it's because when you're in the NBA, you have a roster. You know what I mean? You're on that team. You know what I mean? They're not really picking up a lot of random people from, you might get trades or acquisitions or free agents or something.
But it's not as like crazy.
Random people like Dana White's, like, especially seeing with the last couple cards, he's like he's dipping into like a lot of Chinese fighters, just scooping them. You know what I mean? He's like, there's talent there. He's pulling them over. And that's what's happening. And then these people, you know what I mean? So like these people that he's picking up are like they're the people who, you know, the powers that be who do DraftKings and all this stuff. It's not like they have like all this like this person again, like Elon has never fought in any other organization except I think then like China. I think it's always been in China. So they don't know this guy. You know what I mean? Like he's fighting in the International Chinese Kung Fu Fighting Federation, WLF.
Say that
I think that's the
3
one
times fast.
before. Yeah, those WLF wars, the Wulin Feng wars. I think the one we talked about with like, remember like the two cards ago with Wiley Zhang was on there. There was like 4 Chinese fighters on there, and they all fought in that organization. So yeah, it's just a weird situation.
I was just curious.
Anyway, no,
it's
that's why it happens in MMA. I think it's just because again, like a lot of these like Middle Eastern fighters they bring over too. It's like they and if someone has like Bruno Silva, the next fight we're going to talk about, Bruno Silva's real name, I think that's what it is too. A lot of these guys, because we have more what I would consider like, I mean, if you look at an NFL game, you're like Tom Brady, like, you know what I mean? It's not Bruno, like Bruno Silva is his name, but then it's Bruno Gustavo da Silva is his official full name. So it gets lost in translation, but
got it.
Anyway, I digress. So yeah, let's talk about Bruno Silva. I mean, we just talked about that one. Yeah, great leverage there. I think attack it. Moving on, we have Bruno Silva versus Victor Rodriguez. Another pay-up option that's just, it's tough, Matt. It's just like pay-up options I hate.
Okay.
Bruno Silva.
So I cannot wait to give you this one. You are ready.
So yeah, let's get into this Bruno Silva fight. I know, Matt, you're telling me I got some things I need to worry about, or some interesting things you're going to tell me about this.
I'm just surprised.
This fight.
I've never seen this.
I'm curious because
I want to hear your take first.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I like finding out after. So I just talked about the pay-up option of Culabo being 0-1-1 at 9,100. Not fun. Bruno Silva 9,300 is 0-2-0-1. Or sorry, he was heading into his last fight against JP Buys, and he was one fight from being, you know, kicked out the door, and knocking out JP Buys saved his job. But again, I mean, my goodness, 9,300 for Bruno Silva just makes me sick. Victor Rodriguez is somehow even less impressive at 5-3 as a pro and getting head kicked into oblivion in his UFC debut. So, I mean, both these guys, Matt, I don't have a very high opinion of in terms of their talent level. I think this fight does end in a finish, though. Unfortunately, it's another one that's like, it's a -185. It's very similar to the last fight we talked about. It's very, very similar, where someone should get finished. And, you know, I hate this. At least the first fight was like an obvious red light, and since then it's just been nightmares. But I think for me, because of the knockout chance and the finish chance, you got to target this fight a little bit.
Okay, so there's potential, you're saying, in this fight.
Yeah, sadly.
Okay, so if you had to, like, I don't know, guess ownership based on what you've heard so far, I'll give you a couple benchmarks just to like help you here. And you already know I'm going to throw you an absolute curveball, and you're just going to be mind blown. So just try to guess it correctly. Demir H here, 21.8%, 8.4K. We have Demir I at 30.9. Okay, so that's relatively high, 9.5K. And then Joshua at 14.6 at 9.1K. Just hearing those. Bruno Silva at 9.3K. His ownership is fill in the blank.
By the way, I'm going to tell you this. Bruno Silva in that no contest, you know how I said he was 0-2-0-1? In that no contest, he did lose by arm triangle, and it was overturned. So technically, he was 0-3 heading into his last fight.
Okay. This should sway it even more then.
40%.
Are you serious? 40%?
Yeah. I don't know.
You are the best. That's guys. You saw it here first. 40.5%, Kevin.
Really? Let's go.
That's gotta deserve something.
That's just shows my
amazing. You got to enter the lottery this week. That's crazy. 40.5% ownership on the slate.
You set me up too. You told me.
Yeah, I know. But it definitely still blew your mind. He is the highest on the slate, more than the main event.
Highest on the slate. Okay.
So, what do we do with that? You know,
I don't know. I mean, you got it.
He's cash viable though.
A little bit, but he's cash. No.
Boy, okay. No. He has to be at 40.5.
No. At 200 more, I'd rather pay up and take Johnny friggin' Johnny decisions with Demir. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. He was 0-3 heading into his last fight against JP Buys, and JP Buys is not good, and he just
40.5. Anyway.
Victor Ruiz is trash too. So maybe I get it. He's yeah. I mean, you got to do it. You got to take some. I get it. Definitely don't overexpose here in GPPs though. I'd probably go 50% ownership.
Oh, definitely not. No, you're going to go under-owned, if anything, based on everything we just heard. And comparing him to the other fights, it's really not that special. So.
Yeah, and the thing that sucks is like his opponent's so bad that he should still knock him out, but he's so bad. So it's like, it's just frustrating.
Well, that's even more reason to go mid-range in this card. You know, don't go pay up for 93. Take a bunch of mid-range that are toss-ups, which I'm assuming we'll get to here.
So yeah, we'll get to some of those, but yeah, moving on, we have Court McGee versus Claudio Silva. This one is a little more obvious for me, thank goodness, as we just talked about. Matt's been a headache. I think that Court should be red. He carries a pretty low pace. He never finishes, and more importantly, loses like he's getting paid to these days. I'm actually surprised at this line because he has lost to decent fighters, but not world beaters by any means. Silva, on the other hand, has only lost to James Krause in the UFC, and he's on a 5-0 win streak otherwise. Besides that, he has a win over Leon Edwards. I mean, he's been pretty impressive. So I think Claudio Silva is a steal at that price, Matt. He has been he's good subs. Court is very tough to submit, but in terms of just a value pick, I think at 8,200 I really do like Silva.
Okay.
I don't understand this line. I give him a big advantage.
Okay. Do you greenlight Silva?
I'm going to greenlight Silva and red light McGee, which is kind of rare for me to do on mid-range pricing. And because you got to think it's in Vegas's eyes, it's a 50-50. So I'm really not hedging my bets, but I feel pretty good about the fact Silva's the only tourney viable one here.
Interesting. Silva, well, by the way, the public does agree with you, so great job being a casual today. $8,200, 26.7% ownership, and McGee's 21.5%. So both of them are still low owned.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I wouldn't touch McGee. I just wouldn't. I think it's a bad bet. But I like Silva.
Cool.
Moving on, we have Ben Rothwell versus Chris Barnett. Look up Chris Barnett, Matt.
Okay.
Real quick for the public here.
Okay.
I'll look him up again and tell me this dude does not look like necessarily a fighter, in my opinion.
I searched Chris Barnett and it came up with an actor, so I should probably add MMA. Yep, and it's just a bunch of shirtless pics here, so this is fun so far. Thanks.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, got it.
He looks like your T Grizzly, the rapper.
Yes. Yep.
He looks like T Grizzly.
Yeah.
He's just. I think it's funny. You guys know my absolute.
He looks more like a sumo wrestler. I'm not even kidding.
No, I know, but he has power, man. He knocks people out. I'll tell you this: he's fighting. You guys know my favorite person ever.
I should have made this a thumbnail.
Absolute trash bag, mayonnaise bag, just disgusting. Ben Rothwell, piece of trash. But it was supposed to fight 2 weeks ago, but was scratched in his fight. And Barnett was not his first, second, or I think even his third option for this fight. So it's super late notice, which might have something to do with this super skewed line as well. I just want to reiterate, as I do every video, how much I do hate Ben Rothwell. I just hope he takes a long walk on a short pier. Okay, good. I hate him. Anyway, he comes in as the heaviest favorite I've seen him in or as in a very long time. He's a minus 325, which is not something you see from Ben Rothwell anymore at the kind of twilight of his career. At 39 years old, though, his pace has definitely slowed down, but he can still knock people out. His fights used to always end in a knockout, win or loss. But the thing is, like I said, as of late, he's 5 of his last 6 fights have ended in a decision, which is not something I love to see from someone who doesn't have a great pace. Chris Barnett is, I don't know, he's a super weird opponent for me. Like I said, he's kind of built like Pumbaa from The Lion King, Matt. You know what I mean? But
even worse than that, honestly.
Yeah, no, but he hits like Mufasa. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. You definitely wrote that down.
No,
that was good job. Nice.
Yeah, but he's a knockout machine. He starches people. So I think this is a live fight, minus 165. This could be a trap. It could be a trap.
Okay. No bias.
Fight that doesn't quite meet the love list. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, Matt. I'm sure I'll mention it later on too. This card is the least amount of love list fights I've ever put. And there's good fights. There's a lot of good targets, but there's not a lot of great ones. ones. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
So that's why they're not love listed. But like, I think this one's another good one. I think Chris Barnett hits like a truck, could knock him out. Ben Rothwell could catch him coming in. Like again, this is very short notice for Chris Barnett, making his UFC debut. But I don't know, what's the ownership here?
They're giving him a 23% chance to win, so take that as you will. They're actually showing very, very low ownership on Barnett, 6.5% ownership, but you've convinced me there's definitely a fighter's chance here. Rothwell, cash viable according to ownership, 34.6% ownership, so right above that benchmark percentage, and I'm assuming just because of the fitness chance, because of the favoritism, 9.2K, and it's a bit of an awkward price tag, so I can see why you aren't love listing this.
Yeah, and I know I hate Ben Rothwell, but I mean, call a spade a spade. He's a good winner. He always has been. He is on, I think he's definitely at the twilight of his career. So, and I think it's coming, where he's probably going to have a devastating loss at some point. Being a heavyweight and just being 40 years old, it happens. It happens to everyone. Even Andre Arlovsky, who's still kicking around, said a couple. You can only roll those dice so many times,
right?
And Chris Barnett makes a good dance partner to do that, just because of how hard he hits.
Yeah,
so,
they practically look the same in terms of their build.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just mayonnaise in a bag. But yeah, so I definitely think this fight's live.
Okay.
Moving on, we have Ricardo Ramos versus Bill Algeo. Bit of a grapple match with this one, Matt. Ramos is a little more of a traditional BJJ Brazilian fighter, and Algeo is more like hits him with a little more American wrestling. But they're both grapplers. I want to hear the ownership here, Matt, because first, I do like Algeo usually, but I don't love this fight as a whole.
It's almost to the point where if you're not building your lineups to have like a couple underdogs with your heavy favorites, like you're doing it wrong in terms of ownership, because the ownership's so low on these guys yet again, because of the pricing, Kevin. Mid-range value. Again, 24.5% ownership for Ramos, and then as Algeo. Am I saying it right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
22.9%. So they're both, again, mid 20%. Both low.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean,
just looking at the Vegas line, I get it. I do.
It could be a very low scoring affair.
Okay.
Also, it has that potential. Like I said, could be a low octane grappling match and not a lot of punches thrown, and I don't know. It does scare me a little bit.
Now, just looking at the odds and pricing, Ramos should be higher owned, in my opinion. Looks like just one of those plug and plays and hope he wins just because he can, given that Vegas odd. Right now, they're giving him a 45% chance to win. Is that accurate, you think?
For Algeo?
Yeah. Ramos.
Oh, 45 chance. Yeah, as an underdog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay.
He's a talented dude, and so is Algeo.
It's pretty much a coin toss then.
Yeah, it's just the avenue and how they do it is like
right. It's very bad.
It's weird. Yeah.
Got it.
I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, it's not my favorite. I'll tell you that. Especially with a card that has a lot of finish chances. It's funny. A lot of these fights, I don't think are gonna be super high octane.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're looking for the finish, which I hate fights like that because it's almost like you're banking on touchdowns. You know what I mean? You're not banking on yards or someone who's consistent. Like, at least a running back's going to get 20 totes a game. So even if he falls short of, hitting that end zone, he's going to get, 5 receptions and 90 rushing yards. And you're like, okay, he cleared his price point.
Right.
We're not looking at that. We're looking at like someone who's just a touchdown fiend.
Reminds me of Aaron Jones.
Yep.
Exactly. Just getting those touchdowns and somehow making it happen every single time.
So we're looking at that for these heavyweights and these heavy hitters. But one of the fights I actually love, Matt, is one of the next ones. It's Jack Hermansson versus Edmund Shahbazyan. Fight I actually love. I think I have the fighter order right on this card. Sometimes I don't, and sometimes it changes. But if this is really the 6th fight from the top, Matt, that is insane. This is a certified banger. This is a publisher, no questions asked. Hermansson is a bad dude with a lot of tricks.
Okay.
Has a lot of ways to finish you. Ownership looking good for him.
Ownership makes sense, and I just see it happen. I just see why.
He's very good. I know his fight with Vettori didn't go as he had hoped, but he still looked very good in my opinion. Just got slightly outclassed by a very, very good fighter who is now fighting for the belt. So Edmund is a very good fighter as well. Tough to gauge where he's at right now, though. He was 11-0 heading into his last fight with 10 finishes. He was also 4-0 in the UFC, and he was kind of a prodigy child, making his long time. He was in the works for a long time with Ronda Rousey and her team. And everyone thought he was going to be the next best thing, but he got fucking annihilated by Derek Brunson. Annihilated. Like, I slept on Derek Brunson that night. I had a lot of Edmund, and Brunson annihilated him. He out-wrestled him. He outstruck him, and he knocked his ass out. So I think Edmund is super talented still, but it's very hard to gauge after a performance like that. And it's hard to get that image out of my head of him just getting smoked by Derek Brunson. And then it's also hard to think, like, we don't know how he's going to bounce back from a loss. We don't know. We haven't seen it. So I think he's live just off talent, but Hermansson will be a tall task for him, as he is for anyone. Hermansson's a stud. So, but I do love this fight.
So we have our first chalk pay down option, Kevin, and it makes sense just looking at the Vegas odds here. Plus 129, they're giving him a 39% chance to win, so not too bad at all. And it's just the price tag, 7,300 is just very, very cheap for Edmund. If he can steal this one, should make optimal, right? 35.3% ownership, which is the fourth highest on the card. So chalk pay down option is right there with Edmund, which means I'm leading into Jack. You already know what I'm going to say. Leverage. $8,900. Not as obvious of a pay up option, but mid-range value, we love to see it. 25.8% ownership, which I'm assuming you're going to say it's too low.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
I love this fight as a whole. I'm going hundo P on this.
Well, there you go. There it is. Jack, if he wins, this thing is going to make you very happy.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. I love Hermansson. I think he's very talented. I mean, he's had some wars. I mean, his submissions, like I say, he's very complete. He's tough to beat. He's not going to be one of those guys you can just walk over. So I definitely think, I mean, even the Vittori fight, he got his shots in.
But for cash as a pay down option, do you agree that Edmund's a good pay down spot there?
Yeah, no, I do.
Okay.
I can't say he's going to, guaranteed win, but
sure.
At 7,300, you're not taking a swing on someone who's a bum.
Right. Exactly.
So, all right, just got a text, Matt. I would need to pause for a sec. Or no, you don't need to pause the video. But
okay. Is it another fun fact? Because they loved it last weekend.
I got a fun fact.
Okay. We should incorporate that every single time going forward.
I'm down, and I'll say it after this one. But I got a text from my dynasty, like Mike Williams for Darrell Henderson.
Okay.
Do I take it for dynasty?
Do you take it for Darrell? Honestly, where's Darrell Henderson in the depth chart now? I honestly don't know.
He has Cam Akers and he's trying to hedge his bets.
Oh, okay. And you're giving away Mike Williams?
No, I would be giving away Darrell Henderson.
You'd be giving away
hedge his bets.
Oh, I see. That's a tough one. That's why you're asking me. Okay. Well, thanks, Kevin.
I'll think on it.
Thanks for breaking my brain. Do you know what? Comments. Let us know. Should he do that trade? Yeah.
He actually asked for a second too, like second round, whatever conditional pick for the next year. But I'm not gonna offer that. I would counter and take that off the table.
Oh well, then that's a dumb trade. Yeah, you would definitely have to counter that. Yeah.
But yeah, fun fact, Matt. You ready for it?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, so you're not gonna believe me on this one. It sounds like
I didn't believe you on the last one, so let's hear it.
It's true. So ready for this one? This one might be even more outlandish, though. It might be hard to sell you on this one. Flowers like Viagra. It
like
is
how so?
Proven
okay.
in a study. Okay, it was done by Israeli and Australian researchers that flowers will stand up straight and stay, I guess, up. I don't know if they're necessarily alive during that time,
Correct.
but a week past where they would wilt and die, a week after if Viagra is applied to them.
Very fun fact there, and I don't know if that was inappropriate or not, but it definitely is. That's breaking my brain. I'm gonna go test on everything.
I can't bring. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you have a lot kicking around. Anyway, moving on. We have David Dvorak versus Raulian Paiva. Big oof on this fight, Matt. Big oof.
Okay.
A lot of different things to process here. Dvorak is crazy good winner. He's on a 15-fight, 9-year win streak at 2-0 in the UFC. Pretty damn impressive. That said, doesn't do much.
See that.
And that's why his probably ownership is not, shooting through the roof.
No.
He's also fighting a pretty damn good winner in Paiva, who's 20-3 and actually does way less somehow. Like, these guys are really good winners, but they're bad at doing things. At least Dvorak finishes people, where like Paiva has 13 decisions and his 20 wins. So I don't know. I mean, both are super talented. I mean, they have a combined record, Matt. Their combined professional record is 39-6. That's pretty stupid. They have my respect off of that alone. But that said, what can we do with that? You know what I mean? Like, what can we do with that? I don't think necessarily this is a fight you want to target a ton of. I mean, I think it's super yellow. They're 125ers who don't do a ton with their time in the cage. At least when you're looking at 125ers and flyweights and bantams and feathers and all those lighter guys, you want them to be like, okay, if you're not going to knock people out, I get it. You don't have the power of heavyweight, but get some volume up. I mean, if these guys don't have the volume, then what am I targeting them for? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Dvorak at 19.6% ownership and Pava at 18.5. So both very, very low for the reasons you just talked about.
Yeah, I think that's fadeable.
Okay.
I do to a degree. To a degree.
Do you want me to keep it yellow just because?
Yeah, it's yellow.
Okay.
I'm not saying like you fade it. I think yellow's in the realm of fadeable, takeable. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you can choose. Yeah, moving on. We got Felicia Spencer versus Norma Dumont. Felicia Spencer, I think she's a beast and a low-key bargain at that price, honestly. Girl has 2 losses in her career, and they're the best 2 women fighters in history, in my opinion, being Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. Norma's tough, but we did see her get knocked out by an also tough Megan Anderson. And we did see her beat Ashley Evans Smith, but that doesn't mean much to me because honestly, who doesn't? Ashley Evans Smith sucks. Norma is a yellow for me. I like her pricing and she's a good winner, but other than that, she is pretty average everywhere. I will greenlight Spencer as I like her ability and believe in it more. Like I said, she's a good fighter. I have a high opinion of Alicia Spencer. Also has good pace and puts that black belt in jiu-jitsu to good use. She def could be a sneaky optimal play. And again, she lost to Cyborg and Amanda, but they couldn't put her away. She's tough.
All right. So Felicia Spencer, 27.8% and Dumont 14.1. Is that surprising?
No, that's about right.
And we're giving this yellow?
30. Let's go yellow on Norma and green for Felicia. I think she could be sneaky.
Okay. Like it.
Moving on. Another stupid friggin' pay-up option that I just hate. 9K. Justin Taffa. Just...
I remember seeing this name, and Justin didn't score well the last time. No, we did.
I don't know. What do you get? Didn't he have a split decision?
I'm trying to see his price tag. Oh, no. It was 74. Was this the last fight? It was Jones versus Reyes. Was it the last time I saw Taffa? I feel like we've seen him recently. I guess not. Okay.
No, we
brain fart. Is it brain?
Yeah, he was on Holloway versus Cater. He fought Carlos.
But then they didn't update this because the last one they're showing is back is a while ago. So must just be a glitch.
Was that who was that against? Jorgen De Castro or Juan Adams?
It was Juan Adams.
Yeah, so that was in February of 2020. So yeah, no, but he fought for Carlos Felipe and lost a split decision since then. But I mean, yeah, again, I know it was a split decision, but again, Carlos Felipe is not a friggin' world beater by any means. He's 1-2 in the UFC, 1-2 in the UFC, and you want me to pay 9K for him? Again, I get there's a big finish chance. It's a -325. I don't know. As I'm looking at this more and more, Matt, Big Ben might be low key the best like pay up option around this price tag. And I hate to say that because you know how much I hate Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger.
I was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I hate Ben Roethlisberger too. I hate Ben Rothwell a lot more. Well, I said Big Ben, and they're both Ben Roth. You know what I mean? But
soon enough, we'll be talking about Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, well, I mean, they both look like inbred idiots. So, but yeah, anyway, I hope they just. I hope
they'll keep going here.
Tandem bicycles off a cliff. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. This fight is it's another one. It's just stupid. I hate this. It's like this card is just all these bums that might knock out the other bum. So it's one of those. I mean, Jared Vandera, don't have a super high opinion of him. I don't really understand. I mean, Justin Taffa is 4-2 all time. That's his overall career record. Why
even
is
outside
this guy,
the UFC?
Yeah, that's his professional career record. 4-2. Again, like, what are we doing here? He made his UFC debut.
Is what we're doing.
Or fading. I don't. But at 325, can you?
Yeah, no, you can't.
I don't know. I mean, Jared Vandera is huge. He's like a big dude. He's like 6'5" or something, 270. So he's cut whatever 265 right on the limit. He knocks people out. He has some submissions. I think you can take this fight, Matt, but I don't love it.
Taffa at 25.8, so it's gonna just make your brain hurt even more because that's I know. There it is. There's a sigh. Vandera at 9.5, so they're both very low owned.
I'm literally, you just made me look. I'm looking at the next card. What's the next card? Rosenstruck versus Sakai. Beautiful.
And we're gonna start breaking that down here in 2 seconds.
You know what's gonna save this one? The co-main's cool and the main. So let's get to those. And again, I think it's a very GPP viable card. I think the Sharks aren't going to know what to do too much too. There's a lot of solid finish chances, and it's a very volatile card. I think there's a lot of leverage here. I don't think there's going to be like a crap ton of ties for first in this one, which is good. I know that's what a lot of people like to see. Like I said, like you don't want one of those cards where you do everything right, you get first and you split it 100 ways. So
it was like everybody split that 100K the first. It was like $4,000 was first place.
Like, I thought I was getting mad contrarian and like,
right.
oh, no one's going to play this card and all stuff. And there's literally like
all the chalk hit
first.
Yeah,
like I
it's like $50,000 optimal.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, legit. So it was. So maybe this is not one of those chances because I'm sure some underdogs will win and whatnot. But yeah, let's move on. We got Yan Xiaonan versus Carla Esparza. Yan is a beast. Fan of hers. She handles girls. She's 6-0 in the UFC. All decisions, but she has a pretty consistent pace to her. I'm looking at her and Felicia Spencer around those price tags. And I'm like, almost like for cash games, I almost think they could be like some of the safer picks. Like Carla Esparza is very good. I think Esparza is a very tough fighter. And I think she's live. But I got to believe the the ability of Yan here and then Felicia Spencer too at these prices. So I think they're both like cash viable girls.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Yan should win this, but I just don't think she's going to make the optimal necessarily by like, I wouldn't say she's a lock for optimal by any means. I think it's like 50-50 if she wins, which she should win. So still a 50-50 chance. Maybe, if you look at her career in her 6 UFC fights, I think she clears her price point about 50% of that time.
Okay.
So yeah, at 8.6K. So take that as you will.
Esparza is the other chalk paydown option on the slate. So we found there 2 chalk paydown options. $7,600 strictly because of Vegas odds. They're giving her a 44% chance to win this thing, Esparza. 31.
Very good.
31.1% ownership for her, and then Yan 24%. So leverage potential there. I'm assuming you'll agree with that.
Yeah, 24 I think Esparza is very good. I don't know. I'm a little bit believing the hype of Yan. I think she's very good. She's tough to beat, but yeah, I don't hate it.
Want me to green light this thing?
Yeah.
Okay. It's teetering. Yellow green. Okay.
It's high yellow. But I like the fight. I think they're talented. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to yield in a great DFS result.
Right. All right. So, we're finally here. Light at the end of the tunnel.
Finally. Yeah. I mean, this has been a ton, Matt. From a spectator standpoint, I think it actually could still be a fun night. From a DFS point standpoint, I think it could be a fight night. And I think from a DFS standpoint, it could still be a fun fight night. But just from a I like talented fighters standpoint, it's not that kind of
night. It's not right.
I think there's a couple, like I said, people I have decent opinions on. The girls fight we just talked about, Felicia Spencer, I have a high opinion of. Hermansson, Edmund, and you're trash. You're definitely trash, and that's about it. So yeah, and then moving on. I mean, I will say this main event saves it for me. Rob Font and Cody Garbrandt. So friggin' excited for this fight. Yeah. This is a main event. Haven't been this excited for a fight night main event in a while. I cannot wait for this. Rob Font always leaves a sour taste in my mouth, Matt, because I really like him. He's a super good fighter, talented guy. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but he fought one of my best friends and one of my old wrestling teammates, and I was at the fight. It was in my home county, and my friend lost a 29-28 decision to him. Very close. I objectively think my friend won. I know a lot of people in the crowd did too. I think my friend beat him. It was a very close fight, but it was a 29-28 decision for Rob Font. That fight was about 10 years ago, and it's just crazy to see how my friend went on, fought a couple, more pro times, just kind of lived his life. And Rob Font is now number 3 in the world fighting for
that is crazy.
the main event. So it's weird for me to see that. But he's amazing. He just knocked out Marlon Moraes. I mean, it's crazy. He's and I do like to see, another Massachusetts fighter do well. So I'm happy to see that. He's got amazing boxing. I think he's the second best boxer in this division. The best boxer, in my opinion, is Cody Garbrandt. So I think this is going to be a very interesting fight. Yeah, these dudes got hands, Matt. They have hands.
This will be fun then.
It's going to be awesome.
So we're going to see a boxing match, essentially. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I don't think this hits the ground. I mean, Rob Font has some good jiu-jitsu. Cody Garbrandt has some good wrestling, but I think these guys are going to throw. Cody, it's funny. I was on the Dillashaw train when I really do have a very high opinion of Cody. I think he's one of those guys. I like him because he can legitimately beat anybody in the world. He is that good. It's just Cody when he gets emotional. It's when he gets overly aggressive, sloppy. He can be inconsistent. We've seen that. He got knocked out 3 times in a row. but when he's on, he is a problem, Matt. He is a problem. So it seems like he has taken that Gaethje approach too. And I've been listening to a lot of stuff of Cody Garbrandt talking, and that he's, his interviews, and he lets off the gas now. He's more focused on his technique and not getting overzealous, not getting emotional. We saw in the Dillashaw fight. Two of his 3 losses were Dillashaw, and Dillashaw's amazing, and he got emotional because he hated him. They had bad blood. They used to be buddies, and the whole training alpha male thing, and but he used to, that was a personal thing. I think with Munoz, he just got overzealous, too aggressive, and got knocked out. And I still think he has that talent. I think he's amazing. Cody Garbrandt is friggin' amazing, and it's just tough. I think you want to go 100% exposure to this one. It's a pretty even line. I'm going to take more Garbrandt at the pricing. I'll probably go 60% because I do think, gun to my head, I think Garbrandt's better. I know I shouldn't say no. Font is amazing, but I think Garbrandt's ceiling is higher. So I'm going to believe by the ceiling in terms of talent. I'm not just saying DFS.
I was about to say, because DFS perspective, they both score very well.
They do. Font's amazing. I just think Garbrandt is, when he's on, he's a better fighter than when Font's on. If they both had their, best days in the office and they fought each other, I think Garbrandt wins.
Okay.
It's just Font is consistent. Garbrandt isn't. So that's why, I do want 40% Font.
So here's the thing. This sucks. This sucks from a DFS perspective, because this truly is the most 50-50 in terms of ownership, in terms of the pricing, in terms of the Vegas odds I've ever seen from a main event that we've covered so far. Nobody knows what to do. Your night will be completely up in the air until this point, because it's so 50-50. 38, I kid you not, this is the ownership right now. 38.9% for Font, 38.6% for Gar.
Oh my god.
Yeah, for Cody.
I told you it was a 50-50.
It is legitimately the most 50-50 fight that we've seen on the main event, and it's just a cap off a 50-50 overall DFS card. It's just everything's so up in the air, and it's just might as well just throw in another 50-50 fight.
And well, here's the thing, from a DFS perspective, Matt, when we have an even fight and not even pricing, usually the under-owned guy,
but even the pricing is so close. It's just,
it is, but I'm saying, when we have an 8K and an 8,200,
you're right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
8K guy is heavily owned. This is 7.9 and 8.3. So you got to think again. I'm buying into that 60% Cody even more.
Right, and rightfully so. The pricing does make sense for you to be able to go down. And again, it's all going to come down to line of construction. I've talked about this almost every single time we've been doing these videos, but line of construction is everything. Font should be in a more awkward build, so that can make for a good leverage potential too. Truly, this is going to be a 50-50 fight that's going to make or break your night, and I think you should probably see the viewership a little bit higher just for all the DraftKings watchers, because this. Yeah. First of all, let me just ask you real quick: is this stackable? I think I know the answer.
I was wondering that. That's the question of the hour. I was looking. This could be a 5-round war.
Okay. Like to hear that.
And part of me thinks there's no chance.
Okay. So from an ownership perspective, they say that it is. So. Take that as you will. Fade Silva and just stack these guys in cash from your perspective. So in terms of pricing, it makes sense too. And I will go on another rant. You guys have already heard in other videos that the pricing on these guys are just too low in general. So
I think it's going to be interesting. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just ready for you to give the final breakdown if you want to keep talking about it.
No, I was just going to say, it's going to be a good fight. And I definitely think I almost hope Rob Font, I like Cody more. I'm a Cody fan, but I hope Rob Font wins because it just makes me feel better for him. My buddy is you ever see the movie Good Luck Chuck, Matt?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where whoever he sleeps with or whatever, finds love next. That was my buddy in fighting. He has 4 losses, and every time he fought Rob Font, lost, Rob Font gets the call to the UFC.
Right.
He fought Desmond Green, lost, Desmond Green gets to call the UFC. And the other 2 losses got called to Bellator. He was right there, but just
didn't get it.
I feel bad for him. So. But yeah, it's funny. Gotta move on. But let's get to these core plays and fights. So like I said, Matt, this is the least I've ever added to a love list. Straight up. My core plays and fights, I actually had Silva as a core play. Maybe I'm crazy for putting him in core. I get that. But I think he's super undervalued. And by Silva, I mean Claudio Silva. Not,
okay. I was about to say, wait, you just got done roasting. So you can't go back.
As the highest guy in the card. You can't say it's not a bad idea. But that said, I mean, I definitely like Claudio Silva more. I just think at 8,200, he's being very undervalued. Should win that fight against Court McGee. GPP plays Jack Hermansson, as we talked about, great finishability, elite fighter.
Yes.
Edmund's
Lower
coming off a
ownership.
brutal loss. He's underowned, and it's going to counter a lot of that ownership with Edmund. I have Edmund as a punt, but you can put him in core if you want, Matt.
Okay.
Hate his recent fight, but have loved everything else I've seen from this kid. And then lastly, Garbrandt and Font, as we just talked about. You know, that should absolutely be a lock for I don't want to say lock for optimal because you never know. It could be a second round KO or something. That's just
Still though, those price tags will one of those two will make optimal. They should.
They should. They should.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, guys. That was a long video. Kevin, we almost made it to an hour, so I think it's the longest we've ever done this. So hopefully you guys did appreciate all the effort. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course smash that like button for all of our future MMA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day. Let's cash.